adventure in what's news. Was ist Neues? That's sort of the Yiddish way of saying it. It seems to me that the deep state is their assets are being denigrated, being neutralized piece by piece. Remember, this is a military operation. Everything is happening in a way that is logical to the military. The greatest example and the obvious example is that President Trump removed the threat through ICE by making the arrests of all these criminal military age. Remember, back in the day, we were saying, why are all these immigrants, why are all these military aged young men migrating illegally into the United States? So this was a planned attack on the United States. I'm live. Is anybody out there? This was a planned attack. This was the first beachhead for the enemy. The enemy was infiltrating the country with military-age men, and to our eyes, it during the Biden years, and it's hey, truth. I'm sure everyone's going to be all right. No, for sure it's going to be all right. All these things had to happen. I'm just saying, it happened in such a logical way from a military point of view that it's going to be great. I have no doubt of that whatsoever. And Anna Marie Schneider, JD, thanks for just posting some things, so I know I'm not speaking to myself. I'm saying the logical, we did not really understand until now. Future proves past. Now we understand these pieces. These pieces are now falling into place. So what the enemy did, and this is it's really huge. Cat orange whistling. Yeah. Hello from Wisconsin. I'm not sure what you mean, Tim Curtin, but it's all good. The depth of this operation. Remember, this is the final battle of good versus evil. The final battle for evil. Evil is being destroyed by the root. Hey, Jimmy Johns. They're being destroyed because you can't just destroy their foot soldiers. You can't just destroy the head of the Hydra. You have to destroy the entire machine. You have to take down the whole stinking church, as they say, as Q in that film clip. Hi from Chile, Florida. Is it chilly down there? Yeah, I'm actually, well, I don't even want to say where I am because it's obvious that the bad guys keep tabs on me, as evidenced by what they did the other day in my broadcast about the Republic. They were just constantly taking me out. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to get off on that tangent, but do come to us. We have a program every week at 4:00 Eastern time with members of the Republic to discuss that. And then at 6:00 on Thursday, we do a lifestyles channel where we talk about LifeWave and immunotech and just various things. It's really more about Norman and Grant. They're sharing very interesting things. So it's kind of like I get out of the way a little bit. And Daniela, of course. But what I think I'm trying to say here is that from upstate New York, where upstate New York? Anyway, I don't want to get distracted. the big picture is coming into focus. That's what I'm saying. This is a we saw all these things. We said I just remember saying, why are all these military age men coming across the border? Why are they being given hotel rooms in New York? Like, why are they being treated like royalty? Because this was the bad guy military. This was the muscle of the deep state. These are the foot soldiers of this criminal organization that's running the world. And we're gonna circle back. We're gonna talk a little bit about adrenochrome and the child trafficking. It's the big picture is coming into focus. That's really what I'm seeing. So these military age men were treated like royalty by the Democrats, by the deep state within, and the Republicans as well. Remember, this is an underground criminal organization that's running the world, that was running the world, and they are being destroyed piece by piece, asset by asset. This is a remarkable operation. I think we will, as we reinvent, re-understand our true history, this will be the beginning of the future-proof past. By winning this war against this, remember, they control the media, they control history, they control the banking, they control the medical situation, they control the water, the air, the food. They control it all. They controlled it all. But their assets are being slowly degraded, slowly chipped away. So here we see that President Trump and ICE removed this threat, removed a large part. I'm not saying totally, but they went against this force that had infiltrated the country, these military-age men. And it turns out they're either gang members or soldiers. They're soldiers of evil. So the White Hats had to degrade this force first. Why? Because they understood that at some point they were going to make this war a kinetic operation, a moving operation, a real war, and that if you left these people inside of the US while they were being destroyed in Mexico, Canada, Cuba, Iran, Iraq, Ukraine, Taiwan, Belgium. This is a worldwide criminal organization that has no Israel, that has no boundaries, that is not beholden, is not subject to the rules or order of any state. They created states. They created all these countries, but they don't operate within countries. The countries are for us. Just like your driver's license is for you, not for them. They don't need a driver's license. They don't have to obey the laws, but we do. They expect us to do that. No longer. I mean, I don't think we should comply with any of their nonsense, but that's another issue. But here we see the assets of this evil deep state, transnational criminal cartel being destroyed on all fronts. It's not just the Mexican cartels. The Mexican cartels are in league with Hezbollah. They are in league with the Iranian deep state front. They are in line. They were working with Cuba. They were working with Venezuela. But you see how the White Hats are piece by piece. First, they had to take out Venezuela, and they had to remove the source of a lot of the funding, which was the oil. They were like black marketing oil, selling it through Cuba. This was a whole their whole operation. And the drugs and the child trafficking and the money laundering. This is a huge criminal organization that's being taken down piece by piece. So now we're seeing, and you might be tempted to think that the Mexican cartels, that's the key to it all. This is just the one face of the Hydra, of many faces. They're connected to Iran, like I said. And what is this, when you look beneath the surface? And I think this community has grown, our eyes have opened to the point that we don't see the separateness of this. We don't think, oh, this is happening in Ukraine, and it's different in Mexico. This is one big criminal organization that works to launder money, steal children, 8 million a year, destroy your health, try to kill you the best they can through big pharma, keep you completely misinformed with this mockingbird media, with the ridiculous media. I remember Rush would always call it the drive-by media. I never could really understand what he meant, but I guess what he means is that they just they come and they make a big production and they shoot, and then they're off to something else. They just drive by. They don't present information that has any depth. What I think we're hitting on tonight is a way of looking at this now that things are slowly becoming unveiled. Now that we understand that, okay, they had to take out the criminals within the United States. They had to take out all these gang members. They had to take out Venezuela. This is the source of their funding. Now they're actively going after the cartels. But the cartels have been degraded to the point that they don't have people as much on the inside that could produce chaos and mayhem. So, and it's not unrelated to what's going on in Iraq. The Iraqi, the deep state within Iraq, these criminals are trying to remain in control of the government by positioning an Iranian sympathetic president, which President Trump has said, you're not doing that. We're not playing the shell game anymore. It's like, okay, look over here in Mexico. Don't look over here in Iraq. They're totally unrelated. No. That's like saying, like, this hand and this hand are like completely different entities. They work together. And how are they connected? Once you have eyes to see, once you understand the big picture, how are they all connected? They're connected underground. They're connected also above ground, in the air. Look at the chemtrails. It's happening all over the world. They are controlling the skies. This is the evil, their last attempt to depopulate the world, and they've done a pretty good job with the vaccines, with the food, with the health, with the obesity, with climate, weather disasters that they're controlling. All this that seems like it's just happening. It just happens. There's a snowstorm. Nothing is just happening. This is all planned. I saw this excellent clip. I hope I can get a hold of it. But there was a clip by a woman who was explaining how the Illuminati operate. And they call this the plan it. Everything is planned. We see randomness. We see chaos. We see war. We see unrest. We see economic decay. This is all planned. This is all planned by a few of these reptilians. And if you look even deeper into the picture, besides the fact that they're all connected underground, what do they have in common? This is big picture stuff I'm looking at tonight. What do they have in common? They're all hybrids. They're all half reptilian. They took some of our DNA, they mixed this one with this one, but they are basically reptiles that are posing as humans. This is the biggest, this is kind of like from 10,000 feet, but from four, from not 10, maybe 100, this is the big picture. It is a war of evil hybrid beings versus humanity, versus a species that is nuanced, that has feelings, that has intuition, that has a deep and direct connection to creation itself and the planet, this earth, our mother earth. We are deeply connected. I can't tell you how when I'm on the land, I'm just in a different level of consciousness. But I am happy to say that when I travel, I'm not as usual. I mean, it's difficult, but it's not as bad as it used to be, because now I have Daniela, and we are one. We do the same things. We approach a situation the same way we did in Far Rockaway, as we did in Off Grid, as we do when we travel. It's like, okay, this is what we need for us to, we need a source of raw milk. We want some farm fresh eggs. We need some steak that's not been, jacked up with hormones and everything else. We need a few things. It's like we have our world as a unit, and it doesn't really matter where we are so much. Whereas when I was operating on my own, I had to deal with a kind of a loneliness that was very disconcerting. Anyway, the big picture is Mexico. The Mexican cartel is not a separate thing from Hezbollah. It's not separate from the Iranian people. The Iranian people are totally with it. They don't want Islam in their country. They have no connection to Islam. Islam itself is a deep state operation, as is Judaism, as is Christianity. I'm sorry to say that, and I know that could upset people, but I don't give a shit. It's obvious that the deep state is in control of the world through religions and everything else. It's like, really? Like, the religions got to have truth, and the way they put the religions against each other, and one cannot coexist with the. This is classic deep state division tactics. But the entire net, the entire web of evil is being drained. The swamp, this filthy swamp of you talk about, in religions, they talk about, you're a sinner and all this kind. Compared to the deep state, compared to what I've just described, compared to the idea even of adrenochrome production, of organ trafficking, of child sex slavery, compared to that, our religions are going to tell us that we're sinners compared to these monsters. I might have looked at a woman, in a lustful way. I'm a sinner. Are you kidding me? Eating children, draining their blood, torturing them, and sucking the blood right out of their bodies. And you want me to think that, original sin? We were born in sin? What a crock of shit. What a bunch of bullshit perpetrated against us by these monsters who are perpetrating crimes that we can't even fathom. We cannot. A human being, a real human being, like what happened with the Anthony Weiner laptop. The cops who saw it got sick, and then they all got killed. The level, and by the way, I just want to mention this, that years ago, maybe like 10 years ago, I was at a town hall meeting with Anthony Weiner, and I did not know any of this stuff. But I got up in the middle. I remember I was with my little boy then. He was a little boy. And I was like, you criminal. I started screaming. My instincts, my inner gut knew that Anthony Weiner was a criminal. I mean, I don't remember if I was even into Q at that point, but I just started screaming, you're a criminal, you're this, you're that. And my little boy was like, Tati, what are you doing? You know, I feel bad for him. I mean, I was like, you know, I couldn't keep my mouth shut. I just had this sense of that I was in the presence of pure evil. And this was before he even got arrested. I knew. Also with Obama, I came here knowing this is a big picture. This is the evil being taken down in every form and shape. It's not Democrat, you know, like there are a lot of posts on X that say, if you still think this is about Democrats and Republicans, you're clueless. This is a huge operation. This is the culmination of the story of the Garden of Eden, which is another crock of shit. I'm sorry to say it. That humanity was expelled from the Garden of Eden for eating of the tree of knowledge. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That's how God is? That's God? That's not God. God, benevolent, the loving God, the creator of all things, says, you got to get rid of these humans, man. They know too much. Well, that's not God. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I went. I didn't really intend to go that. But this is a big picture, and people, it is time for us to wake up and see the big picture and feel the big picture in your guts, to the extent that it would make you sick to go and get a driver's license, to pay your taxes, to say, yes, officer, I was speeding, to buy a can of Campbell's soup, to go to a hospital and let the doctors prescribe some kind of death dance to you. Any of this stuff we have woken up to the point where it cannot be tolerated. We're not children. So, well, you know, Ellie, you know, I got to pay my taxes. I don't want to get in trouble. What are you going to get? Who's going to give you trouble? The criminals? I don't know. I'm just saying that, and I don't mean to criticize anyone. You really should do whatever you feel should do. If you feel like you should still pay your taxes, pay your taxes. I talked to my brother-in-law and my sister this morning, and I said, you know, and my brother-in-law is a hardcore prepper, hardcore MAGA dude, hardcore. He's got, you know, guns. He makes his own ammo. I mean, this is not like a lightweight dude. And I said, I don't pay our tax. We don't pay taxes. We don't even file. Are you kidding me? He said, or my sister said, gosh, you know, we could save a lot of money if we didn't have to pay our taxes. I'm like, why are you paying taxes? It's a voluntary thing. They never ratified the 16th Amendment. I have to check that. But why are we complying? Yes, the non-character players out there, they're not human. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if it's true, but they're sleepwalking. I don't know. You know, maybe they are real people. I don't see how a real human being in this day and age could comply with people who make their money trafficking little kids and killing kids and drinking their blood and eating them. How can you comply with that? It says in the Constitution, it is our duty It is our right and our duty. And this comes back to the idea of the republic. We do not have to. Why, I mean, why do I have to pay to live on a planet I was born on? Why do I have to pay rent? Why does anybody own anything? It makes no sense whatsoever. Pay you taxes? I mean, every time I go to Home Depot, I'm just like, I buy $50 worth of stuff, and then it's like $10 tax. I'm like, what is this? Who is getting this money? Is this going to an underground dump? You're building another 7-Eleven underground somewhere under Wisconsin. They're gonna have a. I mean, do the elites? Where are the elites? How many stores do they need down there? How many pounds of food? How many years of supplies do they need in their dumps that they have to take your money? So I was shocked that my sister. I don't talk to my brother and sisters, my brother-in-law and sister, as much as I should. Maybe, I mean, but I was like, you guys are still paying taxes? I'm like, well, and my sister's like, yeah, we'd have a lot of money if we didn't have to pay our taxes. I'm like, well, for God's sake, stop paying taxes. It's voluntary. Well, you want to feed the beast? Anyway, what we're seeing now the big picture. We were seeing for years, pieces of the puzzle. Like, why is Trump doing this? There's still people out there saying, like, well, when are the arrests going to happen? And those people, man, I don't know. I don't know if there's hope for them. I mean, do they believe that Joe Biden is like, sitting on the beach somewhere? We can't help those people. I don't know. But the big picture is becoming so obvious and this is how this is the plan of the White House. This is the plan of the good guys. And this community just happened to be a couple of years early, like 10, 20, 30 years early, where we knew all this stuff somehow. We didn't consciously know it, but now we're getting all these things are coming to at the level of consciousness, and they have this whole Jeffrey. There's a clip I have. I'll start getting to some of the clips, but there's a clip I have of a young man with a megaphone, and he's saying, "How can you just go about your day like this when you know that the elites are trafficking children?" That 8 million children go missing a year, that they're drinking their blood and eating children. How can you just go about your business? You can't be a human. It's like I always look at my old friends. It's like they got the same best friend that they had when they were 5 years old. How does that make sense? You don't change your whole life. You've been the same exact. You like the same sports team. You eat the same foods. You go to the same club that your parents went to. Everything is the same, man. You got I'm like, how can that be? I mean, I thrive. I mean, personally, we as a couple, we changed completely. We were riding bicycles in Far Rockaway, looking at the ocean, watching for whales, and then now we're homesteading on in the desert in the mountains of Arizona. People would say this is a huge change. It's not. It's not a huge change. But if you can't change out of the point where you want to live as a slave and you can't free yourself, maybe that's what Dolores Cannon was talking about two Earths being formed. I don't know. Allegedly, Trump is going to fire another coronavirus within the next 30 days. Yeah, but I mean, that's just like details. That these people, they don't really exist anyway. None of this makes logical sense. It's worldwide. Yeah. Hey guys, I was 60 years ago. Yeah. Greetings from Long Island. I was just reading about Montauk, man. They got really hit with some weather. Greetings from Austin, Texas. They're not human. I think that's the conclusion we have to make. They're like central casting. They're just here to fill up space so that you don't feel like you're the only one that exists. But what do you mean by it's worldwide? I mean, you're on fire. May the truth be told. Well, thanks, James Flock. Yeah, I appreciate that. I never know what's going to come out of my mouth. In fact, I've admitted this many times. Before my broadcast, I have no idea what's going to happen when I turn on the thing. But I can tell you this: I do not relate. Like I am not like this. 20 hours out of the day, 20. I'm not like I get off thing and I'm like this all the time. I'm like a regular person. I'm making myself a cup of coffee. I'm looking at the stories on X. I'm giving Daniela a hug. We're talking about what we're going to eat. I'm eating more than I should. I mean, to regular people they would look at what I eat and they'd go like, you don't eat anything. I mean, we don't even start eating till after 12 noon. And then usually we don't have a real meal until like 4 o'clock. But for me, I really, I'm like, I'm a regular dude. And then I do this. But anyway, so the big picture is being revealed. It is all in front of your face. If you can't see it, it's probably you'll never see it. You may not be meant to see it. I talked to an old friend today. He didn't say something like, Ellie, you were really right about the deep state. He didn't say anything like that. He's like, what are you doing? How are you? It was a wonderful, I had a very nice, I have this friend, he's a little older than me. And we've been friends for years. It's just something about his vibe that we just like each other. We used to go when I was religious. We used to go and together to fishing piers to see what they were catching. He's like me. I'm too lazy at this point. I'm too disinterested to actually spend time fishing, but I love to fish and I love to see what. This is the mystery. This is the spirituality of fishing, is that you're pulling something out of the unknown and seeing it with your eyes. This is a very deep, profound experience. But once you get to a certain point on the spiritual train, this spiritual journey, for me anyway, it's no longer an interesting adventure to do that, because I think I'm pulling ideas out of the thought ocean that are much more engaging than the look of a poor little fish when you pull it out of the water. Maybe it's a little more humane. I don't know. Looking good. Yeah. Color back in your hair. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think it's just it's a lot of things, but it's, the LifeWave, the LifeWave product. Let me just do some shameless promotion, but this stuff is my thoughts about it. Like I said, for years I just took this product because I liked Dr. Staci and I liked. It sounded like a great thing. I wasn't totally into it. I was just like, well, maybe this thing is real, maybe not. Because it's not like you're taking a drug. You're just putting a patch, like a Band-Aid, on your skin, and it reflects your own light back in various waves. But then I started realizing that I'm getting younger. I'm getting younger every year. And we don't have, in the old days, I would get a cold. I would be going from this to that. We don't even, Danielle and I don't even think about, well, what happens if we get sick? It's just like, it's not even a thought. We just don't get sick. So yeah, I highly recommend that I invite everyone to try this product. I think it's an amazing product. I cannot sell something I don't believe in. So for years I was just kind of like, yeah, it's pretty cool. It reflects your own light. It stimulates stem cell production. But then, like the other day, like the fact that I don't have to take naps every day, the fact that I don't have to get up 6 times during the night to go to the bathroom, that's what Grant came up with. That's huge for a guy, because you can you basically sleep through the night. That's the glutathione patch seems to be the big one for that. I'm putting on the glutathione patch every day. I'm putting on X39 to reset my stem cells. Recently I think we ran low on the Eon patch, which reduces inflammation. But these patches are amazing, and just to remind everyone, I don't want to be a broken record, but just to see it, if you could see the difference between my friend from Arizona's blood before she took the patches, and then after, she called me and she was just like, I got to thank you. I'm so grateful. This is after she started patching, and she's only been patching for 2 weeks, but it was like an instantaneous. Why? We need to know the reason. Well, the reason is that we are light. We are actually light bodies. We are, and as we progress in this ascension process, we become more attached to our higher self, our light being, and less to our physical being. Although, and here's the idea that defies logic. Well, I was seeing a thing that they don't talk about the ether, the element which connects us all. There is like this fifth element that apparently, once we understand ether, all of our whole scientific model goes out the window as a bunch of fake junk. The whole molecular model of the universe is just destroyed instantly with this ether. And ether kind of sounds like spirituality. It's the connecting force. It's the big connector. But anyway, we really appreciate it. Like Daniela, we're starting to like make a little money every week, and Daniela's like, and we're used to living hand to mouth. We're just like, okay, we got some money. Let's go get our groceries for the week. And we're good at that. We've become very good because we know exactly what we need. We need, because we're on basically a carnivore diet. I eat fruit and vegetables, but it's basically, we need a steak. We need a burger. We found today, and where we're traveling, we found some beef bacon, which is, to find it in a store is a big treat for us. Beef bacon, because I don't eat pork. Pork, they say, is hybridized. It's a hybridized human. So I still don't eat pork or shellfish. But anyway, yeah. So she was just calling. She said, "I'm just calling to tell you how grateful I am." My blood. She was so worried because her blood looked like hell. Because she was testing her blood. She has a friend who tests her blood, and then she took the patches, and now it's like. So if you're concerned about surviving the chemtrails, you may want to think about getting some X39, getting some Eon, getting some glutathione, getting some carnosine patches. Is it expensive? What's the alternative? And think of what you spend on health insurance. We don't have health insurance. But so in terms of Daniela was saying, well, what if we have a little extra money for this week? I said, Daniela, we have been saving up for. There's a certain, like, people who live in this world you don't have to know how to do anything, but where we live, you have to know how to do stuff. So the water that comes out of our well is put into a storage tank. In order for us to have like real plumbing, like you guys have, or a lot of you have, we have to get a pressure tank and a pump that pumps the water into the pipes, and then into the faucet, into the dishwasher, into whatever. but the cheapest model we could buy is like $500. So, we haven't even discussed it. But I'm saying to Daniela, well, we could move out of the RV, man. We could have a kitchen. We could have a sink, a real sink outside. The the creeps really destroyed us by people not being able to do anything anymore. I mean, I was told by the spiritual forces that run me, that direct me. When I was 26 years old, I was sitting in a room working on my second novel. Why was I working on my second novel? Because my first novel was rejected by the nerd parasites at Columbia. So I was working on a second novel, which really described what assholes they were. That's the second novel. Tells me what it was like to go to writing school with these idiots, these politically correct idiots. And this is from the 80s. So it's not like, they weren't as bad as they are now, but they were still disgusting. And I'm sitting in this room writing a novel, and all of a sudden, I want to be a carpenter. I mean, it wasn't like that. A guy came into the house where I was living and started doing carpentry. And I saw him in me. I mean, he was like another little Jewish dude. And he was like building something. And suddenly, out of nowhere, at 26, and I think I was in a relationship at the time. I'm always either in or out, but I just said, I've got to learn to do that. And I spent the next 20 years, maybe more, working in construction, like little projects where I had to like basically design things, and I hired a bunch of guys. I had trucks. But this is where you have to pay attention to the things you desire. They don't make sense. It doesn't make any logical sense that I would go from really wanting to be a writer, a full-time writer, to being a carpenter in the matter of days. It was just like, forget about writing, man. I mean, I did that. I've already finished that. I had done it for like 5 years, and I'm just like, screw it, man. I ain't going back. I was working on magazine articles. I was getting paid like $50. It would take me like 15 days to write something, and I'd get like $100. I was like, hey, how could a person live like that? Anyway, whatever. I got off on a tangent. There's a big story here, and the big story, beyond the reptilian, beyond the hybrids, beyond the 8 million kids, the big story, the huge story, the story that, in my opinion, isn't really making the kind of waves it should. Is the story is you and your life, and paying attention to the things that you all of a sudden desire that make no sense. So here it is. Can't even think of how many years later, like 50 years later, I realized why I spent 20 years learning carpentry. So, and when I went out into the desert, I wasn't thinking like, really, I really got it down, man. I'm like a real Sharpie. No, I was a school teacher for 20 years in between. And I didn't, I did some things around, I did a lot of things around the house, but I didn't, I wasn't a full-time mechanic like I am now. I wouldn't even call myself a mechanic when I moved into the RV. I was just like, yeah, I used to be a carpenter kind of guy. But now we got to fix something. You want to hear something really brilliant? I'm just going to make, because this just blew my mind. We were looking, the front door in our RV, it gets a lot of use. And we've lived in the RV for a year and a half now. And the door gets slammed like 30 times a day at least, and I'm constantly putting WD-40 on it to make it work. Well, I told you one day I said it just stopped working, so I just took it apart, and the spring and all the pieces went flying all over the desert. And it wasn't like, okay, I could put it back together again. It was just like, it was gone. So I said, okay, listen, Danielle, I'll figure out a way to get to work the door. We never really liked this door anyway. It was too much. She was having to slam it, and things would fall off the shelf. So we went into Home Depot. We said, "Look, let's see if we could find a way to close the door." And I saw all the little latches and all the closures they had, and I'm like, this is not going to work. Then I saw the window sash. You know the little window thing that tightens the window when you put it in, that the thing on a double hung window. They probably have it on other windows too. But I said, Let's get one of those." And we put it in, and it works amazingly. So we have it on the inside. So we have a window sash closure, and I also have a cabinet closure that it locks in place when it's closed. But the problem was, we came home the other day, and the front and the door was open, and there was evidence of mice or some kind of, maybe Chippy got in. We've seen Chippy around. I'm telling him, I'm telling Chippy, man, don't even think of coming around my house, man. It's not gonna be pretty, because I'm telling Chippy, man, I'm Brooklyn, man. You're not messing with like some kind of Arizona. Actually, the guys in Arizona would just blow it away with a shotgun, but I'm not really like that into blowing up little animals. So Chippy got in, took a bite out of our apple, took a bite out of one of the tomatoes that was on the cabinet. We left for a few days. So I said, "Well, we got to closure." So we had thrown out some windows because they were broken. I said, let's go get our old windows and get those closures back. So now I have a closure on the outside of the door, and it's tight as hell, man. It really tightens it up, tightens the door. I don't think Chippy's. I don't know. We'll find out soon. But it's it. The thing is that if you like, we were talking to somebody today. We were shopping. We're out here. We're somewhere else, and we're shopping. We met this wonderful woman, and she was just we couldn't stop talking together. She was telling me how she loves sweet potatoes. She puts her sweet potatoes in an air fryer, and she says they're crispy, and she's like addicted. She's like potato chips, like me and Danielle are potato chip freaks. But she's telling me, we're talking, and we start to tell her about where we live. We show her pictures of our house, and she says to me, "I wish I could do something like that, but I don't really know how to do anything, and my husband doesn't know how to do anything." And I'm thinking to myself, what a great way for the parasites to neutralize us. We can't do anything. We're so used to like trading, counting beans for the man, figuring out, whatever job you have. I mean, me as a school teacher, it had nothing to do with teaching. It had to do with, pleasing Massa, the assistant principal who just out of, just got her, whatever. Turns out they all came out from the same sorority, and there was like a big gangster principal, and he hired all these pretty little sorority girls, and then they became my principal. And without, I mean, I have, I'm you could tell I'm a person who likes to understand why, had the how and why of things. So they'd come into my classroom and tell me I'm not doing something right. I'd be like, "Really? You really want to put that down in writing?" And they did. They would always put it down in writing, which made it was kind of embarrassing when I had to go to arbitration when they tried to take my job. And I'm like, this is what the administrator wrote down about my Lewis dot diagrams. She was like, well, the dots aren't in the right place. I'm like, lady, you don't get it. You don't get it. But that's another story. Anyway, so they've degraded us in that respect, so that we don't really. But the good news is that you can learn how to do these things, and if I can learn it, you can learn it. And so if you really want to, you must. I mean, you have to be able to do stuff besides look at a screen. And besides that, it's fun. And there's all kinds of YouTube videos for everything. And they're tools. If you guys remember the Mighty Mouse cartoons from when we were little kids, they had this thing called Mighty Mouse. Mighty Mouse had a gun for everything. It's like he had to shoot around the corner a gun for, I mean, he had a rope gun. He had every kind of gun. But that's the way the tools are now. The tools are easy to use. You don't have to be a master carpenter anymore. You just have to understand a few basic principles. Like, if you're gonna make a ceiling, it's got to be supported. It has to rest on something that's going to hold up. Those kind of things. Which, if it comes to that, I would be willing. I would like to maybe make videos. I can show people how to do stuff. But I think they're better teachers than me for all these kinds of things. Anyway, I'm builder, drummer, cook. My hands are the issue. Yeah. I beat them up and never got surgery when I was young. Now, ouch. Yeah, that's hard, man. That's hard. You know what, though? I'm thinking, this is a thought that I've been experimenting with lately. And we'll get back to the big picture. Maybe I'll show you a few videos, maybe not. But I have lower back pain. I have real lower back pain. And yes, the patches are amazing, especially the Eon patch for keeping the pain in check. But I remember there was this doctor. I can't remember his name. Maybe somebody can help me. But there was a doctor, this brilliant doctor, who said that all back pain is emotional. It's emotional stress. So and I've known people that have had horrendous back issues. I forget the guy's name. Anybody remember? Mighty Mouse. Yeah, I know he had a gun for everything, right? He's like, the rope around the bench, a gun, but, yeah, I'm sorry, I lost my track, but, I was talking about, I don't know, I lost it, but, yeah, whatever. I mean, my mother would say it couldn't have been important, but, let's see, I was just talking about Mighty Mouse, went from Mighty Mouse to learning how to do yeah. So what I'm saying is that now you can go out for a couple $100 and buy a miter saw that does compound mitering, and you can use it as a radial arm saw as well if you have a piece of board that's wider than 20 inches or something like that. You can, for like $350, I bought this rigid compound miter saw that is better than any saw I've ever owned. But I use it for everything. That and a couple of drills and a screw gun. Everything is screws now, so anybody can do this stuff. Anyway, so yeah, so that's. Oh no, but I was talking about this doctor. He said that it's all emotional. And I've known people that have cured themselves of severe back pain by reading this doctor's book. And I remembered his whole thing was that it's all emotional. You don't really have pain. So I'm starting to think, I'm just going to let it go. It's not real. And then there's a connection to the light body. We talked about that before, and really progressing. Oh yeah, and I was going to make a point. Really progressing from having your higher body, your higher self in control, and then realizing, this is Hasidic, that the physical body in these times is smarter than the spiritual body, and the physical body is going to teach. So it's kind of that kind of correlates to the future is not going to be about you learn how to count beans for the man. it's going to be about you applying knowledge. And sorry about your hands, man. That my I get pains in my hands too. But to utilize your entire knowledge, but to do practical things. They say that the body will teach the spirit in the future, and the body is close, like more tightly aligned to Gettlichkeit, to godliness, to spirituality. It's God itself is in the physical body. So, in all the spiritual practices, they're like, oh, your lowly body, and no, it's not like that. Oh, the great beings, they sit and they meditate, and no, the great beings are your car mechanics. They're your plumber. These are the great beings of the world. We live in bizarro land where these elites who can do nothing but suck the blood out of little children are running the world. So we're coming to a realization. I guess this is where this video is going. We're coming to a complete realization that everything in this world is about to be, it's like taking an undershirt that's backwards. I mean, I personally, I don't notice these things. Like, I could wear a shirt that's inside out and it doesn't bother me in the least. Danielle is she's like, "Hey, Ellie," she's like, the shirt's on backwards. I'm like, yeah, does it really bother you? Do I have to? She's like, yeah, you can't go around like that. And I'm like, okay, and nobody sees us. We're in the middle of the desert. It's not like we have visitors, but she gets annoyed by that. But the world is like that t-shirt. Maybe most people are not bothered by it, but at some point, everything in the world is inside out. So the people running it are criminals. They're sucking the blood out of children. They're killing children, and we are thinking of ourselves as like deeply deranged and damaged. I was damaged by my parents. I mean, like sinners. I have lustful thoughts. It's like, well, hey, great, you have lustful thoughts, thank God. We need more children here. So yeah, you should have some lustful thoughts. You go to the med bed, man, you're gonna be 30 years old again. You better have some kids, because there are a lot of souls that need to come down here. We need to replace the non-character players that are running around, looking at their cell phones and not noticing the chemtrails. Kids, man, that's what, what's better? I mean, I've taught. I had my little brother was 5 years younger than me. I spent my entire youth educating him. Now he's, he outgrew me and he doesn't like me anymore. And my son, I spent 20 years just working on my son, working with my son. Not really, he was probably training me more than I was training him. I mean, that's the way teaching is. If you're really a good teacher, you're learning from your student all the time. That's what it says in like deep Kabbalah, that I learn more from my students than from my masters. Dr. Sarno, right? Thank you. Thank you, Zeta boy. Yeah, Dr. Sarno. He said, it's all emotional, man. So I'm thinking to myself, hey man, get over it. You're not really in pain. I got stuff to do. I don't have time. Like Real Raw News said, with his hands. I mean, we don't have time to be sick. We don't have time to be hurt. I have to build a house. I don't have time to worry about my damn back. It's like, get over, the back's just gonna have to be okay. So I'm trying to like rethink the Dr. Sarno, which is brilliant. And I've seen people that were like utterly debilitated by back pain. Just like I recommend it. Read Dr. Sarno. I recommend it to other people, even though I never read his books. And they're like, hey man, I'm totally cured now. I don't have any back pain. Anyway, yeah, so it's good. So we got this, drummer Cook. We got this. So the bottom line is we're seeing the big picture. I had all these posts. I mean, I don't know if it's even worth playing them, but yeah, I'm being told what song to play. Okay, so fine. Uh, Paulden, Arizona. Good to see you. Good to see you too, man. I love Arizona. I love the sunshine. Nothing beats Arizona sunshine, man. I'm sitting there in the middle of February at about 11 o'clock. I put on layers. I put on like extreme layers when I first get up in the morning. It's not even light outside, but it's freezing outside on the desert. And I have like a certain method. Okay, I have my woolly hat on. I have all this clothes, and I just strip. By 11 o'clock, I'm like, if I have a shirt on, it's like a big deal. That's Arizona. It's unbelievable. I'm ordering fruit. I'm looking. I don't have money now, but we go through these grooves. But I'm wanting to order. Wanting to force the issue with the trees. I want to plant more trees. I want to establish that aspect of uh of our property. I have those 6 fruit trees now. I really desperately I'm thinking about different things, different types of fruits that I would like to grow. His book is called The Healing Back Pain. Yeah, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. I mean, these are the kinds of ideas that they're so obvious that nobody figures it out. The kitchen sure has, yeah. Well, we're traveling. We're traveling. This is not our kitchen, and we would never have a microwave. It's just, the first thing we did in our RV was rip out the microwave and turn it into a shelf. But yeah, we're traveling right now. But we'll be home soon. Yeah, I wish, yeah, I mean, it's nice. It's really it's a nice treat for us to have a real place for a day or a couple days. But we'll be back. We'll be back on the mountainside soon. It's just we got some really cool stuff we're working on here. I mean, this is not, I'm not at liberty to disclose what we're up to, but you can. It's it's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. I have no doubt in my mind. We've been going through a certain thing, and whatever. I'm not going to go into it, but fig trees are good. Yeah, I want to get fig trees. I'm really thinking about the kinds of like fringy trees like that won't grow, that aren't usually grown in the desert, that I want to grow, like avocado, well, walnuts, um, filbert nuts. I'm attracted to. I would like to do pistachios. I really want to try to grow some blueberries out there. And remember, I now have a well, so I can do a lot of watering. And the sun is relentless in the summer. I may have to protect the plants from too much sun. Say hi to a drummer woman. Real raw head says hello, baby. She says hi. She's in the other room. We actually have more than one room for a few days. It's pretty luxurious. So anyway, yeah. So I'm not even going to go into all the pictures and all the things. You could do that on yourself. Go to X, but it's basically Mexico is falling apart. It's all about the deep state. The Steinberg woman is a cartel person. She's saying, "How could you go against these poor little cartel people?" I'm like, "What are you? What are you out of your mind?" Yeah, she's for sure nuts, and she has a Jewish last name. Probably her husband is Jewish, but she's brain dead. She's a cartel member, and they neutralized a lot of these bad boys that were here in America. There's still probably some out there. The military is unbelievable. Also, yeah, let me just remind everyone to make sure you join the Republic. This is really important. Yeah, I've been thinking about it a lot lately. I thought to myself, well, why do we even need a republic? Why can't I just live in peace? Well, the reason is because the Republic says that. It says that governments do not control us. And so we have a kind of cohesive structure with which to go forward. That way, they're not going to say, well, you know what? Sharia law is better. I'm like, screw Sharia law. I'm not going to be cutting off the hands of, it's just not for me. I want to be in the Republic. I want people around me to be in the Republic, that we understand it's all about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And nobody owns us, and nobody can tell us what to do, and nobody can tell us you have to have a fishing license. You want to go fishing? I'm like, screw that. I'm in the. I live here. This is my place. I was born here. I was born on this beautiful Earth ship. Whatever it is. Now people are saying it's both flat and a planet. It's just it's a hologram. It's a holographic. It's a virtual reality. So the people that say it's a planet are right, and the people that say it's flat Earth are right. But this is not something I feel comfortable going into. I'm just saying and mentioning in passing. But join the Republic, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And to the Republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I pledge allegiance to the United States for America. And the world. Let the people be. Get off our backs. 10%. Remember that to go into Jassara law, we need a certain population, or a certain amount of the population to sign into this. For the white hats are monitoring the number of people that sign up for the Republic every day. They check it out. They're watching us. And when, like I said, 30,000 people per state, and all the offices, the 8 offices are fulfilled, and a lot of it's, there are a few states that need help, but they're people. They're certainly, there are lots of people out there that are human. There are humans. I'm sure there are 30,000 people per state that are genuine, bona fide human beings that want to live like a human being and not live in this nanny state run by people who are real, hardcore Satanist sinners who want to point fingers at you and say, oh, you're not so good. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. Oh, you had a dirty thought 5 years ago. Screw it. You guys are killing children. You're eating children. You're telling me, my religion is telling me, you can't really control yourself. You're not a good. No, I don't want that religion. I want to be connected. I'm more of I feel like more like a Native American now. It's just like, great spirit, man, just protect us. We love you. We're a great mother, whatever it is. You don't want to put a name on it. You don't want to call it father, mother. That gives it a sex. You just want to say the force. Okay. So let's just do it. Okay. Let's do the tune, and then we'll call it a day. You can go on X yourself. There's all kinds of cool stories, but it's kind of repetitious in a way.
Living in the city, I was paying down my bills. One flat tire and the whole thing went to hell. Credit cards for groceries, I'm deep in debt again. It's time to split this scene, walk with you, my friend. Leaving the matrix, heading for the promised land. They stole our money, but they couldn't stop the plan. Let's go together, playing with the band, leaving the matrix. We're heading for the promised land. Stop paying taxes, your insurance I don't need. The medicines are killing us, hospitals grow like weeds. Move into paradise, I don't need no gassy cars. Fake news, endless wars, a satanic legal bar. Leaving the matrix, heading for the promised land. They stole our money, but they couldn't stop the plan. Let's go together, playing with the band, leaving the matrix, heading for the promised land. My friends all tell me I lost control, left my wife and job just to run down rabbit holes. But I can tell you one thing.
Yeah, I don't know if am I still here? You're frozen. What happened? Music gone. Okay, so let's try it again. Are you? Am I back? Does anybody hear me? Hmm. I don't know. I don't know if you guys are here or not. But anyway, it was my fault. I didn't have the thing charged up. Music gone. Can you hear me? I'm on again. Oh, you're back. Okay, sorry about that. That was my bad. I just I didn't have the charger on. I just ran out of power. But yeah. Anyway, the song. I'm sure you've heard it before, but leaving the matrix, heading for the promised land. That the bottom line is that everything seems to be in control, and the good guys are doing this step by step. Now, we didn't know why military age men were coming into the United States. We didn't know why, but it's all happening. It's the good guys are draining the swamp once and for all. And but the good news is that you can hear me. Okay, so, sorry about that. My bad. Anyway, may force be with you. May you realize you are the force. You don't need permission. You don't need to be told you're a sinner, you're a this, you're that. You are a part of the divine plan, a big part of the divine plan. May source be with you. May force be with you. May you realize that your thoughts, your speech, your action, your feelings, everything matters. And you vibrate across every dimension of this, whatever it is. I mean, I have no idea what it is. Is it a hologram? Is it, I don't know, but it seems real. Is it real? I don't know. I don't think about those kinds of things. I mean, get your tool belt. If you're not convinced that it's real, maybe you need to buy a tool belt. I don't know what to tell you. I personally like a 16-ounce hammer. I know some guys like 20-ounce, but for me, a 16-ounce hammer is just fine. I like an S-wing. I've always used S-wing hammers. Just me. But yeah, so just know that you are not the problem. You are the solution. They are the problem, and they are being removed. Mexico, Iran, Iraq, Cuba, Venezuela, they're all connected, and they're all connected underground, and they're all trafficking children. They're doing horrendous things to little kids, and they're basically hybrids. They are reptilian hybrids that have taken over the world. They are being removed piece by piece now. The bankers, the media, they're all going down. We are not going back to the old government. We are coming into the republic where life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness will be, it'll just be for everyone. We won't have to deal with all this worry, all this fear. That was just their control grid. Now we're coming into the light, into the future, into a place where we can operate and have children and have families and build our houses without inspectors and regulations and code. I mean, nothing offends me more than when somebody says, well, it's not up to code. I'm like, well, who wrote the damn code? Was it the pharmaceutical company or the building company that was selling sheetrock that you had to buy a 5/8 piece of sheetrock because they said so? I mean, it's all insane. They are destroying themselves. Hey, Norman. Yeah, it's amazing. So they are all destroying themselves, and it's wonderful to see it. But behind the scenes, they're all connected. Underground, they're all connected. In the air, they're all connected. But their whole foundation is being destroyed at the root. They're pulling out the root of this evil, and we are coming into the promised land. So, God willing, I'll see you tomorrow. And let's get out there with a big smile on our face and rock the world.